Why am I always the last one to hear? Every time in my life, it doesn't matter what's going on, I'm the last one to hear anything that's going on. I remember as a boy showing up to school, and nobody was at school because everybody knew it was a holiday except for me. Once, we gathered around the kitchen table, and it wasn't until we got to the name in the Happy Birthday song that I realized it was my birthday. I'm always the last one to know what's going on. In fact, there's only one time I can ever remember when I felt like I knew what was coming. When I was a little boy, the size of a Roman chariot wheel, my father used to tell me, "Son, it's not always going to be like this. We're not always going to be under the Roman tyranny. There's a day coming, it's going to be good, son." And I'd say, What does that mean, Dad? He'd say, "Son, the Lord Jehovah is one day going to choose one who will be anointed." That word used to ring in my head. I knew what anointing was like. I had a picture in my head of the Old Testament prophets choosing a man who would be a leader or a judge or a king. And they would take him aside and they would take oil, sticky, thick, runny oil, and drip it down over his hair till it covered and drenched his hair and covered his face and dripped off his beard and permeated his clothes. Covered with the anointing of this oil. And I used to think even as a boy, what could it look like for Jehovah God to not use oil, but to use his Spirit? That would be amazing. And then wouldn't you know it? I was the last one to hear. It seems like the whole countryside knew before anybody told me. In fact, when I first started hearing the rumors about Jesus, I thought there was at least 20 or 30 of them. Everybody was talking about him in the streets. It was like I had woken up from a 2-month sleep. And they said, "Did you hear about Jesus? Apparently he speaks a word." And hundreds of people gather and actually want to listen. Now maybe you don't have the same scribes and Pharisees that we do, but that was a miracle. He would speak a word, and sickness would cease its presence. He would speak a word, and demons that had scared people and crippled lives would flee. And I had to get to see for myself. Because you see, it's not bad enough that I'm always the last one to hear, but something inside me has got to taste. I've got to touch. I've got to see it with my own eyes. It's not good enough for you to just tell me the story. I've got to be there. In fact, I've got to be in the front row. If there's a group of people, I push my way through the crowd. That's one of the reasons my bag works so well, because I have some sharp things in it. I've got to be at the front. I've got to see what's going on. So I started hearing the stories that people closed down their shop to go because they wanted to be touched by him and healed. One family closed down their business for a whole week. And then, the Zebedee boys, the fishermen, good, honest, hard-working men, they didn't just close down their shop for the weekend or for the week. They just closed down. They left their father. They left the boat. They left the nets. They even left the fish. It was the greatest sail ever on the Sea of Galilee. They had to go see this Jesus. Maybe this is what the anointing looks like when the Spirit of God chooses and touches and uses someone. So I grabbed my bags and I went. And the first time I saw Jesus, I was a little disappointed. You know why? I expected him to be bigger than everyone, to be stronger than everyone, to speak like a lion. He looked a lot like me. Same height as me, same curly hair, same beard. In fact, it became a running joke, and later on, months later, the disciples gave me this nickname, Didymus, which means twin. Jesus, you guys kind of look like brothers. Are you brothers? You're not brothers? Well, you got to be twins. You're twin. The twin. They just called me the twin. They looked just like me. They looked just like me. The first time I saw Jesus, I was let down. In fact, the only way I knew it was really him is this crowd had formed, so I knew he must be near. Probably in the center of the crowd. And through from the side, a man was yelling out, "Unclean! Unclean!" when somebody had this horrible skin disease called leprosy. It The only way you could go out in public was to yell, "Unclean!" So as this man yelled, "Unclean!" the sea of people began to part. I saw my break and I came in behind him. Not too close, but behind. Because I wanted to see it. I thought, this man must know which one is Jesus. The first time I saw Jesus was over this unclean man's shoulder. I saw his eyes. Saw the way he didn't look at the man. He saw inside the man. And I saw the way his eyes were filled with love and compassion. And I don't know what the man said. All I heard was Jesus say, "I'm willing. Be clean." And he touched him. He touched that unclean man. Nobody touches an unclean man. And suddenly, in the middle of the crowd, I remember feeling very unclean myself. There was something so pure in the face of Jesus. And when he looked this way, even when he wasn't looking at me, I felt like I was undone. I had to see him again. And so I heard that he was going to be at the synagogue, and I remember getting a front row seat in that synagogue. It was kind of edgy that day. The scribes and Pharisees were sitting on this other far side, and I could face them, and they kind of had this twitchy look about them, like something was up. And I kind of tried to read the faces, and they were looking like that. And Jesus was sitting over here, and there was a man over here I've seen before. He was a man with a hand that was very shriveled up like a dry leaf. And he couldn't use that hand. He cradled that hand. It had been like that his whole life. And I remember Jesus very clearly standing out in front of the people and simply said, "Let me ask you a question. Is it right on the Sabbath to do good or to do evil? Is it a day to save or to destroy?" And he said a word. I wondered if it might be a trick question, but it seemed like an obvious answer. The scribes and Pharisees mumbled among themselves. Jesus looked visibly frustrated, and he said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Come, stand in front of everyone." The man came up, and he looked kind of sheepish. He said, "Stretch out your hand." And I don't know what was more amazing to see with my eyes. The hand stretched out, or the look on the man's face. When you could feel the strength and the life return to that withered hand. And right there, everything in me had to be with Jesus. Right there, everything I had brought with me didn't compare. Because all that was inside of my soul wanted to do good and to save. It's the first time I realized that I had left my bag of security behind.